Barney Sanders. You mentioned in a recent podcast that you first began to criticize the Church of Scientology online using a pseudonym, but that the church was nonetheless able to deduce your identity. You also said that they were quite sophisticated on the internet in tracking down their critics, or something to that effect. Could you tell us a bit about your personal story here and Scientology's online capabilities in this regard? Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started posting, I posted on the ex-Scientology message board, and it's forum.exscn.net is the link to that, and that was a great resource to meet up with people online in an anonymous setting, relatively so. Everybody uses pseudonyms for the most part, and discuss, my recent departure from Scientology or my thoughts and feelings about it at the time, because I was still kind of involved. And kind of going under the radar is sort of the status that they give for people like that, who are not really acknowledged as being out of the church and yet still connected somehow, and yet not really part of it anymore, at least mentally. So I was posting under this pseudonym, I Hate Duplicity. And you can probably still find those posts on ESMB if you're interested. They're from 5 years, 4 years ago. But I was pretty jacked. I was pretty upset, and I was posting some things to try to get some steam blown off and get questions answered and figure out where to go and what to do. And then I was also started writing some articles for Mike Rinder's blog, and I then took on the pseudonym Galactic Patrol. And I took that because I thought that that E. Doc Smith's books were kind of cool. I didn't take it because of any association with Captain Bill Robertson. I found out after the fact that he had some association with this Galactic Patrol thing. Anyway, that was what I was posting under, and I later found out that I had given away too much in some of the information that I was giving out on ESMB about what was going on with Scientology internally, because I was fresh off the boat, so to speak, and I had all this fresh information. At the time, this was in 2013. The Golden Age of Tech Phase 2 was the big new release for Scientology, that what they were training people for that year, and I knew someone, my then fiance, was down there at Clearwater getting trained on this new stuff, and I was getting information from her, and I was passing some of that information on. But they'd already figured out who I was at that point, because I had also become a commenter on Tony Ortega's blog, The Underground Bunker. And I was posting there as Galactic Patrol, and I gave up too much when I told Tony that I had known a person he was doing a story about. That person had used to have been, we were Sea Org members together, and she was a junior to me, and I said as much, and that's how they figured out who I was, because this woman only had so many seniors in the Sea Org, and I really didn't think the thought through very well in putting that out there, and that was the final place where they figured that out. Between that and the information I was giving up on ESMB, they connected the dots and figured that out. I then later learned from Mark Headley, who had written Blown for Good and who had himself come out, years before, that they have a very sophisticated way of trying to figure out who that is posting online when they are dealing with someone who's giving out information that they don't like being given out. They don't do this with every single person who posts online. They don't have the resources for it. But when they start getting interested in somebody who's posting a lot, I would imagine, they start doing language analysis of the person's posts compared to whatever analysis they've already got of their internal files, knowledge reports, staff member reports, write-ups and things that come from Sea Org members. And they compare these things. They have some kind of sophisticated language analysis software that looks into this and tries to figure out who is saying what based on how they're communicating, how they write, the style of their writing, the words they use, that sort of thing. And I was fascinated by that. I'd never heard about or knew anything about that sort of thing. That software, of course, exists. And when you have a budget like Scientology does, and you're not afraid to spend liberally for, anything having to do with security measures, then, the sky's the limit, right? World's your oyster. And I know that Scientology also, when it comes to security, they are quite paranoid. They have facial recognition software. They have cameras all over the place at their churches, especially on the Sea Org bases. I think in the local city level churches, they're not quite as sophisticated as they are on the Sea Org bases, where they literally have a security force, and they have people who keep an eye on everybody on the base, and they keep an eye on the telephone communications, their emails, this kind of thing, the letters that they receive. If you are a Sea Org member and you receive personal mail, it's going to be opened before you get it, almost 100% of the time. So that is, some of what they invest their money in order to just basically have a total information control over who's saying what where within the world of Scientology, right? I don't know personally what other software. There is one other thing I can speak to, which is phone. Like getting into phones, and they can retrieve deleted text messages and emails and that sort of thing on a phone, because that happened also when it came out that I had been, posting online, and I admitted that I had been doing that. My fiance at the time, not my current one, but this is back in 2012, my Scientologist fiance was down training at Flag, like I said, and when they found out about our connection, they took her phone and found out more about our connection, right? They thought we were just friends, and we'd been sort of keeping our dating situation on the down low because I was getting through my conditions and all this kind of thing, and anyway, that was not appreciated when they found out about that. That was like, and they found out about that by getting her phone. And she had deleted all her text messages, she had deleted all of our communications, but they found it anyway. So that's the kind of stuff they spend their money on, and that's what I can speak to about that experience.